When markets move, Stephen E. Orr takes the chair. From the White House to Wall Street, he's spent decades at the intersection of policy, markets, and real capital. And he's seen firsthand how institutions use data behind closed doors. Now, as founder of Quasar Markets, his mission is to pull those signals into the open so everyone can see what really moves the markets. This is Stephen E. Orr, BigBeat on Wall Street. Let's filter the future live.
Good morning, traders. Quasar Markets Live. It's Monday, January 12th. The tape is starting the week in the risk-off mode after a major escalation in the Powell versus Trump story. BigBeat, what are you watching today, my man?
Well, it's good to see you again, Howard. I was gone for the week, Thursday and Friday, obviously. And, one thing that's interesting to me was that what was being talked about through the CMT Association and people that were there. And there were a couple of things that were there that were really on the minds of a lot of traders and investors and people who were watching the markets very tightly, especially those who manage major amounts of money. Walmart was on their agenda. People they were buying, shall we say. I thought that there was this huge talk. I saw Kathy Woods over the weekend, over the Thursday and Friday. She was also talking about how we are really not even thinking about the technology the way that we should. That it could be a lot bigger than we think it is right now. But that the geopolitical issues are really on the forefront of everybody's thought process right now. And even people that supported the president is now starting to rethink their thought process here. So there's a lot going on here, Howard, geopolitically. And, what's interesting to me when I look at all of that is what is the binding question mark around all of it? What is it that I could melt it all down into one word or a sentence or whatever? And I can't do that. I can't find that one thesis sentence going, hey, you know what? I need to buy this stock or I need to look at this sector because of this reason, because X, Y, Z, Z, Z. It's not happening because there isn't really a main theme right now, because whatever theme you think, okay, let's buy bank stocks. Well, there we go. Let's buy war stocks. Well, maybe the war ends. Let's buy, and it's the theme changes so fast and chaotic that we really don't know what to invest in, and we're having a hard time. So I have been raising, as most people know, on Friday, I mentioned this very clearly, that I started raising cash. I sold a lot of things. I have no stocks on my portfolio. I'm not trading anything. Thursday afternoon, as I'm starting to kind of digest all this information, Howard, I realized one thing, that even if the smart people and the rich people are pulling out, I need to think about pulling out too, right? I need to think about what my next process is. Now, I don't believe in pulling out as in like, let's get all the money out. But I do think that it's a question mark about what we should think about for how we should be managing money and how we should be putting our portfolio together. So that's kind of where I was this weekend. And I'll tell you, there's a lot going on here.
Yeah, definitely a lot going on, without a doubt. Markets are not happy to start off the day. NASDAQ set to open up about down 70 basis points. S&P down 53 basis points, and the Dow Jones down about 63 basis points. Advanced decline, not terrible, though, only down 167. And there are definitely stock winners and losers still, Steve. There's a lot of things. I have just as big a gainers screen as I do a laggard screen.
Yeah. And it very much could be by the dip here. I understand that.
Well, we'll find out a lot this week, right? I mean, you want to talk about a setup for volatility.
Yeah.
Banks. We have just had for those that don't know, over the weekend, the president put out, and something that I think should already sort of be there, is a 10% cap on credit card rates. I don't know a specific number, but there should definitely, in my mind, there's a lot of predatory action there. But he wants to lower those rates to 10%. That has, Capital One being the one that has the most exposure, down about 8.5%. American Express down almost 4%. Citi down almost 4%. JP Morgan down 2.5%. And why I say volatility is, guess whose earnings start tomorrow? All the banks.
Yeah, and when you think about the banking side of things, you have to think about it from the perspective of what is it that Trump is trying to accomplish here with the credit card situation, right? And that's another question.
Well, there's no doubt what he's trying to accomplish. He's trying to win the elections. He's changed his tune. It's all about the making the little person better right now.
Well, I've been talking about it, right? He's seeing now the midterm numbers, and they're the worst in history for him, and he sees that, so he's not stupid. I think he's a very intelligent man. So, yeah, Howard,
we know that more Americans have credit card debt than ever, right? Those numbers, you've been disturbed by them over the last 6-7 months. Highest amount of defaults on things. You take and this is what's sort of crazy. Credit card rates have risen to the point where the average rate's now above 20.
Yeah, and then that's high. Right.
That is. That's what I mean. Is that this is predatory.
It's very predatory, and when I heard this, when I heard him say this, I was happy about it. I thought this was a very smart move.
You might want to bookmark this and hey, clip this, Andrew. I agree with Elizabeth Warren for once. I can't believe I'm saying that.
Clip that again.
She's been over the predatory parts of the bank, right? But this is true. I mean, this is you see it from both sides today. Both sides.
Being a populist is not always popular, right? Because one of the things you have to understand is history records now everything people say, no matter what it is and where you say it. You are being recorded, right? And I think that. We're hearing now reports that Paramount is providing an update to Warner Brothers Discovery shareholders on actions it's taking to advance its superior $30 per share all cash offer. We're hearing reports now that Paramount might be actually going once again trying to go after this. So
they won't give up, that's for sure.
They will not give up
without a fight, and that and what they have done a good job of, you have to say also, is they've gone step by step through whatever the objections that the board has brought back and said, okay, I'll take that objection off. So this one's going to be tough because that was the last big hurdle, right? The difference was stock versus cash. What's that doing to Oracle is my question here. Let me take a quick look here, pre-market, because that cash would come from Larry Ellison's pocket, right?
That's correct. I think so.
Down about a full percentage point here, 84 basis points. So that is one watch today, Oracle, because that's going to be a major play in this. Also, not just Netflix. You got to look at that. Netflix down. What's funny is Netflix is down about a half percentage point. Usually on that news last time when Skydance came back with a better number, we saw Netflix's price go up because the consumer doesn't seem to like that, or the retail trader doesn't seem to like that CapEx expense.
Yeah, right.
Steve, I mean, we got to go next. DOJ probe. Powell says DOJ served the Fed with a grand jury subpoena and threatened indictments tied to prior Senate testimony on Fed building renovation. He frames it as pressure to force faster rate cuts. Markets care less about renovation and more about the precedent. If the Fed is perceived as politically capturable, global investors demand a higher risk premium for U.S. assets. How do you see this working? I mean, gold's ripping, silver's ripping.
When you say that you don't want to use one of the things that Trump said over the last 3-4 years was that the Biden administration used his administration and weaponized it against
weaponized
it against his political opponents, and he's doing it again right now. Trump denied that he had any knowledge of this. I don't know. Pam Bondi and him are very tight, so I don't believe it. I just don't believe it. There's too much here to think about here. Precedents. Look, there's not a day that doesn't go by that I don't criticize the president, whether you're Biden, Obama, Clinton, doesn't matter, Bush. If I don't like what they're saying or I like what they're saying, I will say it, right? And there are a lot of things that Trump does right that I do like. And I don't think a day doesn't go by that I don't criticize the Federal Reserve or I don't criticize some of the things that they've done in the past. But to weaponize the DOJ against Powell for what? I mean, they didn't even understand what he was saying. It was something about they got the numbers wrong on the Federal Reserve building that's being fixed.
Yeah.
Hey, we're already $200 million over what President Trump said it was going to cost on the new ballroom. And give me a break. This is not good. This is really not good. This is setting precedents that does not need to happen. And I think they need to walk this back very quickly. If they don't, they're going to pay for this. The administration will pay for this, and dearly, I think. But we don't know yet. Let's see how it goes. But look, as I say, this does not affect my trading. I mean, loving the president, hating the president, loving the Fed, hating it does not affect my trading. I'm up, what is it, 128% this year since April in my trading portfolio. Like, yes, I bet against the president a lot, quite a bit actually. But I've also bet with him, right? That, hey, look, there are things going on. But the truth of the matter is, and it's one of my rules of trading, we have to play the game in front of us. And the game in front of us is very chaotic, and chaos makes money and volatility. So pay attention to what that volatility is. And that's why we're doing so well. So stay on top of it. Now Paramount is now filing suit. And Paramount now says they plan to nominate directors for election to the WDB board. Paramount's making a very hostile bid for WBD here.
Yeah, I mean, hey, listen, they want them. I mean, they want them. That's without a doubt. They definitely want their share of that. Yeah, I don't know if that's a good idea, but that's sort of a different one. So, Steve, you said that about your stock, about trading, but I'd have to ask us, are we looking for rotation, quality versus cyclicals, defensive versus high beta, and the dollar is sort of the referee right now? Are we watching, rates of investors start to price in rates, like longer rates for, here? What are we doing?
Rotation, yes. Rotation in sectors, no. Rotations in geo areas, yes. I have rotated out of the United States quite a bit because we had a nice run, and I like when we had this run. And I think that foreign countries have not had the same run, right? A good example of that would be Venezuela's stock market, right? It's run. I moved a lot of money into LATAM, ETF to mutual funds. That's not my trading portfolio. That's my investment portfolios, right? I sector rotate all that all the time in a way that seems to be moving a complete portfolio, right? Meaning that I'm not picking a stock, putting it in there, throwing it in there, and hoping it grows. I'm saying, okay, I like materials, which I did. Materials are up the most, right? Because people need materials, are up over the last 6 months, right? So when I'm asked about sector rotation, or I'm asked about rotation in general, yes, I do that all the time, but I do it in a way that rotates it for a longer period. It's not a rotation for, hey, a trading rotation. So right now, it's still a stock picker's market in my mind. And right now, for me, it's Europe. And I think right now it's also Japan. And I heard a lot of that Japan with, Kathy Wood said that is where it's at. I was with her on that 6 months ago, as everybody, and I did it live here. I moved that rotation to Japan and Asia. And I think Japan's going to be hot. Still think so. I think India is still going to be hot. And I, right now, 158 yen to the dollar. I mean, that is asinine. That means that, man, if you've never been to Japan, you've never been to Tokyo, and you want to go, time to go, right? And the new president over there is really making some situations. She's talking about dissolving parliament and calling for a snap elections. So when you talk about rotation, Howard, that's the kind of thing I'm looking for. I'm looking for bigger macro picture things, and not just, Palantir has a new, Apple has a new AI. What's that? That's cool for trading. It's not cool for sector rotation. So, or in my case, geopolitical right now. So right now, for me, my rotation is geopolitical and not sector.
Okay, that makes sense. That definitely makes sense. So with that being said, are you going to look to reposition today, or are you still going to sit on the sidelines?
I'm on the sidelines. I raised cash. The question marks around the banks are a big deal. And listen, the banks still really run the finances of the United States. While you and I are very much on the crypto side too as well. You start to hurt the banks financially. They're going to go find it somewhere else, and they're going to hit us with fees, right? If they don't get that money through credit cards, they're going to hit me with fees, right? I don't even know. They're going to make up fees. That's what banks do, right? And you're going to see things like that happening very quickly now. If that's the case, does the president have the ability to stop the amount of rates? When an administration, I'm not going to nail down the president. The administration begins to stick their noses into business. We have a problem, right? There should be a separation. We create law, and we let businesses run their businesses. When we try, look, when you try to, I mean, and in the case of Exxon, Venezuela, they said they did not want to be part of Venezuela. I don't blame them.
Right.
Venezuela oil is not going to be easy.
They lost billions. Yeah, that I do obviously have that in our thing here is that I mean, we're picking winners and losers again, right? And he says he might keep Exxon out of Venezuela after the CEO called it uninvestable and emphasized U.S. control over permissions, revenue routing. He just wants to see, am I going to lose all my money again? They took all their stuff, right?
They did. I mean, you look at it, and when I was asked over the weekend when I thought about Cuba, the United States invested heavily. Marriott, Hilton's, you name the companies, they invested heavily in Havana. And when Raul took over, they lost all those hotels. Those hotels haven't been fixed up since the 60s. I mean, you're talking about 80 years, right? So there's a problem here, right? They started building them things back in the 40s and the 50s, and it got taken over in the 60s. And now here we are in 2026 now, almost 80 plus years later, that we've got, why do they still got a bad taste in their mouth after all these years? So if we go in there now, when people ask me about Venezuela, I said, look, Venezuela is about a couple things, not just oil. And when we first started talking about it, I said, it's an oil play. And it was an oil play. It was not just about Venezuela and their Maduro and drugs. All right. It was about oil. But it's also about having a foothold in Latin America. It's about being the first stopping point for the United States now to be in Latin America. And the president just changed some pages to say that he's now the president of Venezuela, the temporary president of Venezuela, having a foothold in Venezuela. I can tell you, I mean, I had long chats with Europeans over the weekend, and they are completely and utterly confused. I taught long chats with some Canadians over the weekend on both sides, conservative and liberals, and they're both saying, what the hell is going on in your country, right? That's chaos. What's going on in Greenland? We don't know. What's going on in Iran? When we were talking, Howard, you and I first talking about this months ago about all the geopolitical issues, they're coming to a head now and faster because of the midterms, right? Yeah, I think we're going to have, I said this last week. Did World War III start? I mean, there's some serious talk. And you talk about the European Union, the defense ministers at NATO are now saying right now that it's getting serious, and that Germany and Poland and a few other countries, France and UK, are looking to put troops now into Greenland.
Yeah.
You would have told me that would have happened. What? Wait, what? No. Now it's very serious. Yeah, I think, Zora saying Dunrow Doctrine. Yeah, I mean, it's
yeah, I saw that on Wall Street Journal, trading the Dunrow Doctrine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Steve, I don't know what to say on some of these anymore, because as you just said, Zora, it's crazy out there. I mean, these are things that I can't imagine are happening. And we haven't even mentioned Iran. There's thousands.
When Trump brought to the generals, and he wanted a plan, he wanted a plan to about Greenland. The generals go, I'm sorry, what? They didn't even understand. They ignored him. His hand-picked guys were like, what? Wait, what? He said, are you being serious? Yeah, but I don't. He says he's fixing NATO, Steve. Yet he's pulled back a lot of money from NATO. So I don't know how he's fixing NATO. When I don't know. I don't agree with what's in this side of it. I don't know. The chaos is a little chaotic. When you're president, you're supposed to have a steady hand on the ship, and making your decisions and making your what you said, answer the questions that you were asked in the campaign and your campaign promises. That we know politicians lie to get elected, but this one might be hitting levels that we've never seen before, right? And I'm not calling the president a liar. I'm calling he's, in fact, I'd say the opposite. He's pretty much doing what he said he's going to do, right? But how he's doing it is not the way that he said he was going to do it. That's the difference, right? He's changing course on what he's going to do. So that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely concerning. Now we're on their side of the globe also. The Donroe Doctrine, when we were sticking to Venezuela, Cuba, Greenland, is one thing, but now Iran and the others, it just keeps on going. Let's get back into something more on a good side. How about Google Gemini shopping, agentic commerce race here, Steve? You've been talking about what to look for next in AI. Is this the first, domino in a pyramid of effects?
Yeah, 100%. And I'll tell you what's interesting is a lot of companies I should say firms are now talking about Apple and their AI, how they're picking up and really catching up. And Google has now stepped on the gas pedal because of it. And because of that, I'm hearing companies going, oh, we're building agentic AI. Well, most GPTs now have agentic AI already built into it. That's not, you're not building agentic AI. Maybe you're building something for your company. And I do that all the time, working on something now very cool for us. But I will say that when you look at agentic AI, it's the workflow, right? How do I make what I do every morning? I don't have to come in and I can push a button down and kaboom, or it's automatic. I now get a breakdown of what I want to see in the markets in one swoop. I don't have to go looking. I got to look here, I got to look there, I got to look there, I got to look there. No, it's already bringing it to me the way that I want to see it, right? And that workflow makes things efficient. Kathy Woods made a very good point over the weekend. If you are a kid coming up now and you are going to school, right, you better learn ChatGPT. You better learn AI, and you better get into it, because if you don't, you're done. You literally are not. You are going to be unemployable in the future, and we're already seeing that. We're seeing a lost generation now, and unemployment amongst youth is very high, and and they're keeping older people sticking around because they're doing the work. And it's a good point. The world reset might be genius. It very well might be a genius move, right? I have to ask the question, are the people that are around Trump geniuses? Because I'm going to tell you right now, when you are the president of the United States, or even my own self, Howard, you know this, I like to hire people that are smarter than me for that very reason, right? I'm not, I know that the word genius gets thrown around me all the time. I don't think that I am. I just think I'm Steven. I like to hire people smarter than me. Is this administration hiring people smarter than him? And I don't think so. I think he's hired a bunch of yes men. What I've heard many times over the last 4 days is a massive echo chamber. And if that's the case, then maybe it isn't. But if this world reset does work to our advantage, then I call it genius. But I'll tell you what it is doing. It is splitting the world up into three parts: Asia, Europe, and in the Western Hemisphere. As now, I guess the Monroe Doctrine become the Donroe Doctrine. That is an interesting point. Is this a genius move in history? I don't think history will treat him kindly on this, even if it does work, because of his personality, right? You make dumb mistakes, and history will still treat you well because you got shot. Just ask John Kennedy, right? It's a very massive question around it, right? So it is a question, yes.
Yeah. Okay, Steve. We are about 3 minutes from the open here. What are you? Are you looking to short silver on the open? Buy silver? Not touch silver? What are you thinking here today?
I am not touching silver. Look, for most of you know, I have been playing ZSL quite heavily, and I've done quite well with it over the reason I'm not playing ZSL is because I'm very concerned of a reverse split on this stock, or ETF in this case. So be careful with ZSL. I will tell you, there is a stock that I am very interested in, and that is Netflix. I do like Netflix here. I think Netflix has now been beaten up enough. And I also will tell you that Palantir, which I still really, my eyes are on Palantir a lot here. Palantir just bounced to the top, to the upside here. Oops, just jumped. I'm not sure why. I do like Palantir here. Guys, I mean, when you look at silver, you're talking about the 60s here. The last time we had a run like this, and guess what happened after everything? It crashed, right? So I want everybody to be careful with gold and silver. All right, I want everybody to understand that. We'll have Peter back on here talking about it. Yes, there is still more buying in gold and silver. Yes, gold hit a high. I don't understand why in investments people cannot buy low and sell high. I don't understand why they can't do it. I mean, when we were buying at silver 19, I was made fun of, right? Oh, we're going lower on silver. Now we're at 80, 84, 5 now. It's going higher. It's going higher. Man, come on. Psychologically, it's not making any sense to me. It's not making sense number-wise either. And when things don't happen, this FOMO is out of whack. So when gold goes up 1%, silver goes up 8%. No. That's just FOMO and young people going nuts. And they've been getting burnt quite a bit. I'm hearing a lot of people complaining about the amount of money that's being lost under the age of 35. So look, who's winning in all this economy? Old people with their big 401ks. They're crushing it, and they're not doing anything. They're just holding it. All right, we got about 1 minute here to the open. I am keeping my eye on Netflix here. I do like that Netflix jump is nice. I do like that Netflix jump there.
Okay, Netflix is on radar this morning. Mag 7, that is the only one in the green so far before the open. Advanced decline, pretty neutral here, minus 250 as we get ready to open here. Ticks minus 158 coming in. Gold, like we said, and silver, both retracing a little bit from their highs, but those were highs. We are open here.
And I just bought I bought Netflix here on the open. I was waiting a little bit to see exactly what was going to happen here. I did buy Netflix. I do like this. I do like this a lot here. Qs are jumping a little bit here. Makes sense. I went pretty heavy on Netflix, by the way.
Advanced decline opens up down about 1,500. So overall market in the red that way. As Steve mentioned, NASDAQ down about 56 basis points. Right now, S&P down about 45 basis points. And Dow Jones down about 60 basis points. VIX up about 10 points, 10% here today at about 16, but not really overdone. We do see first move on gold here.
Just took off. Look at that.
And like I said, last time that Skydance made an offer that was better, it did move the money needle pretty significantly right away on that start.
And you look at interesting. Walmart's up 2% here. We knew that was going to happen there.
Palantir gave up that early pump you just mentioned there, just dropped back down. A little bit of profit taking there. Down about 29 basis points. You see Apple's gone positive here so far.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think Apple's a nice.
NVIDIA, nice little move to the upside on the cash open. So algos are pushing us up to start off with, it looks like. UNH getting hit again here. Healthcare down a little bit. Looking at the sectors, we do see the energy pretty flat on the day. We do see XLB, which is materials, up about 0.25%. Same thing with consumer staples. Financials, obviously the one getting hit the hardest, down about 1.3% here. Looking at those early morning laggards, no one really well, someone's jumping in to buy a little bit of Capital One here in the cash open. Has jumped back up, only down about 5.8%.
And I am definitely looking here at this trade here on Netflix here.
Advanced decline continuing to slide to the downside here, down now about 1,871. Gold back above 4,600, so that is bouncing back up. Silver 84.77, moving back to the upside also. Bitcoin just sitting solid at 90,550, but not moving back to the upside. Ethereum, same thing, pretty flat. Gas up slightly, about 1/4 percentage point here, and copper continuing to move to the upside, up about 2.5% here today.
Q still running on the upside here. Oops.
Chinese names have been strong here, Steve. Again, Kingsoft is up about 15% here this morning. Bilibili up 3.22. Alibaba was up very nicely this morning. Still up about 5.4%. Baidu up 3.62. So Chinese names very strong here this morning. Nice move up by Robinhood. Was down in the early market trading. Nice little pump on the open here. Now up on about 1.88%. Kratos Defense continuing to move to the upside, up another 2.6% here today.
And I took that nice little profit there on Netflix this morning.
Nice little move up by AVGO today, up at 1.68%. Yeah. Biggest winner in the miners. Most of the storage names were getting hit earlier today. Intel is down about 1.98%, but we also saw Seagate down, and most of the others.
I don't know. Maybe I went too soon on that Netflix move. I think this might go on up there a little bit. Yeah, I got a nice. Oh, look at that, 90.22. Look at that run on Netflix now. I had a feeling that, yeah, there it is. I thought Netflix was oversold. You know, looks like I'm right. ZSL now at 346 here.
We do see the Mag 7 starting to turn here. NVIDIA's gone green. Microsoft's gone green. Google's gone green to go with Amazon and Netflix. Steve's leader to start the day. Tick still slightly negative. Advanced declines still moving in the wrong direction, but they're definite. What seems like a move back into the mega names. You see the rut down about 63 basis points, although the NASDAQ is down the most, down 80 basis points. So
it's a quick trade here, but I am going to buy massive amounts of ZSL. I just did it right here. Now be careful. It is a short term here. I do think there'll be some selling here in silver. Some profit taking, at least some. There we go. Yeah. Yeah. And massively on that. So be careful out there.
I love it. I love it. UNH getting hit here a little bit.
Man, dollar yen 158, man. Whew.
We'll have Mr. Flanagan to talk all about that. As you said, the snap elections there being called are going to be an interesting little fun here. See, Market Shark just went short Apple here.
The Greenland government now just says that they will increase their efforts to ensure that the defense of Greenland takes place under the auspices of NATO.
Market Shark, nice timing there with that Apple short, down about 64 basis points here this morning. Nice little trade there, buddy. Walmart up 2% here on that news today.
Yeah, I heard a lot over the last few days that Walmart. Everybody loved Walmart.
What's interesting is buy now, pay later names that were taken off earlier have all reversed. Affirm now down 60 basis points. Upstart down 3.28%. Again, consumers are going to need, one of the takeaways that you get from credit card companies, while it's great, this 10% talk, that means they won't lend out as much money, right, Steve?
That's correct. They'll just stop lending. I mean, that's how they make their money, right? I mean, they just don't want to do that.
Yeah, they're not going to take the chance, So while it does help, it also hurts, right? It's one of those oxymorons there.
And the companies that lend heavily, when they have to, payday lending will also hurt too as well.
Yep, absolutely. Bond rate's not really moving, giving us any direction one way or the other. I mean, 10-year is up about a 0.5 percentage point, but it did move those moves over the weekend, quite honestly. We'll see. Overseas markets also had strong days. The Nikkei up almost a full percentage point. Hang Seng up 1.44. And like I said, that also has Chinese names as one of the major ones moving up today. KC up about 15.61.
I've doubled down on my ZSL here.
Dude, up about 3.7. Seeing data centers, IRE and iron up about 5.7. Nice little move to the upside here also. Crypto stocks in general having a nice little day in general. Bitcoin trying to break back above 91 here, so nice little move by it this morning too. Solana could squeeze. There is decent room for it to move up to about 148 if it gets a little bit of momentum here this morning. So keep an eye on that one, everybody. Steve watching his ZSL here. We'll put it back on the board. Advanced decline has come off the lows of the morning. We're still down about 1,500 there, but we were down over 2,100 earlier, almost 2,200 to the downside. VIX is cooling off a little bit, so even with everything going on, we see that back down at 1570 here. So keep an eye on VIX and rates today for sure. Apple down about 80 basis points. Nice trade there, market shark. Alibaba now up 5.83. So again, Chinese names continuing to see strength here today, as I mentioned in the pre-market. Baidu also up about 3.16.
Oh, look at that.
2.44%.
Good boom.
Nike down about 1.43% here this morning. Under 65 now, Steve.
Keep it going, Zar.
Palantir now up 1.7%. So nice little move.
Tick's up 450 right now. If we can get the silver under $85 an ounce, I think we could run here.
There it goes, 85, 84.99.
Yes, sir, my man.
ONDS running again here for me.
Come on, baby.
Clean Spark up about 3% here. TerraWolf. So again, data centers seeing some serious love here again today. They've had a strong 2 or 3 day run here. Bag 7, Netflix has cooled off a little bit right at that $90 handle. Amazon up 33 basis points. Microsoft flat on the day. Nvidia just broke above 185.
One little more
Apple
tip up there.
continuing to move to the downside here. Google is down about 34 basis points.
Lift me, baby, lift me. There it is. I'm lifting.
Nice. Beam Medical here, Beam Therapeutics up about 19.75% here, Steve. Nice little run up for them. ADPT, also Adaptive Biotechnologies, up 15.6%. I mentioned ONDS up about 8.8% right now. IREN up 6.32, the data center name. The miners are having a good day. SSRM up about 5.11%. And some of the defense names led by Kratos up 4.74 so far in early market trading. One of Steve's favorite, CoreWeave, up about 4.77 also.
That's in my larger portfolios. That's in my portfolio. As I think the build
laggards, we see Alpha Tech Holdings down 15.67%. Urban Outfitters, I guess nobody's buying their stuff in DC, Steve, down 12.7%.
ASTS is up 2.9%.
Yep, those names have been moving up, continuing here.
Palantir up 2%. We talked about that this morning.
Yep. Capital One continuing to move to the downside, down about 6.24% so far. Wingstop getting hit pretty hard here, down about 4.86%. And Dave & Buster's down 4.25% here. Didn't see any news there.
2 for 2 this morning. Looking at SSYS. For those of you who don't know, I've been keeping my eye on SSYS. I'm still a holder of that. Will hold that. I think that's my juicy one. I've been talks about it. SSYS there.
Nice.
JP Morgan only down 1.3% this morning, so I don't think that's a big problem there. I mean, the question mark now.
Well, they've got limited credit cards compared to some of the others.
Citigroup,
percentage of their portfolio. Goldman Sachs, Solana, like I said, market shark. It's definitely looking the best out of the crypto this morning. On the other side of that, XRP was looking the weakest.
If you're looking for exposure to it's XLF, obviously that's your financial sector ETF. Yeah. If you're for that exposure, VXX up 1.5%. So all the world falling apart, and we're not seeing it, right? So yeah,
yep.
CoreWeave here
down about 1% here this morning, as you were saying. Technology turning around was the biggest laggard in the morning. Now only down 4 basis points. Now even on the day, basically, boom, trying to move back to the upside. So strength amongst some of the names here.
I'm enjoying this a lot, Howard. This is a good day here, actually.
I love it.
Brian Olson says he should have kept his silver chain he bought in high school from Just Silver at the Mall of America back in the late 90s. Yeah, I mean that's I think that's what's happening, right? I think a lot of people are looking at silver going, ooh, but let's be honest with you, there's 349 now in silver on ZSL. Yeah, I mean that's just it, right? Is that in order for these to own this stuff, you got to own it long time, and you don't get these runs very often. You got it in the 60s, and you're getting it in the 80s, and you're getting it here in 2026. So I would be very, very careful here. Bitcoin ran the 92,000 here and back down 90,000. Who's selling it? That was a big question asked for the weekend. Who is dumping? And I know you're saying perps, I get that, but there's still people that are looking to sell some of that.
Spot market isn't moving the price up. The perpetual futures are moving the price, so it's not spot. There's not a ton of spot buying, especially across the alts. That's why, as Market Shark said with Solana,
right.
It was, there's just if there's no spot volume and it's all being done on derivatives, which are paper, it's just going to be stuck. Once it goes up a little bit, then the perps take it right back down. On Solana, you have $18 billion in futures volume, 1.5 in spot volume. That's just not a healthy ratio. Still apathy across the spot market. That's the problem. Gold 4,600 trying to break back across here. Silver moving up 5.64, still moving to the downside a little bit here since the cash opened. And we see gas has gone back negative, Steve. President says he wants $50 gas.
$50 oil, you mean?
Oil, rather, yeah.
Yeah. Is he trying to lose Texas?
I don't know. Alibaba continuing. He's making China great. Alibaba up 6.57% here. Baidu up 3.1. They keep on moving to the upside. JD up 2.07. So Chinese names still the biggest winners so far across the board in general. In fact, MCHI China up about 1.53% for those that don't know and looking for how do you get broad market exposure again to China. That's a good way to do it. MCHI, either long or short. I like to short it when it gets up this high personally.
Yeah, agreed.
Advanced decline down about 1,200 here still. So when moving back up, but not tremendously. Tick has gone fairly neutral on the day. Small caps are bouncing back a little bit. They are the ones that are going to be under the most pressure with rates and all that. 26.16 there. We do see Dow Jones down about 60 basis points. Qs are only down 20 basis points and trying to move highs of the session. S&P is down 16 basis points and trading again also close to highs of the session.
My core weave's up 6.5% now. ZSL now 350. I may have got out a little too early on that one, but made some good money on it. So, because that was very, 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 very heavy.
Mega caps are starting to catch a little bit of wind. Netflix back above 90. Tesla up about a 0.5 percentage point. Microsoft now up 30 basis points. And NVIDIA also green. It does look like Amazon wants to try to test the green side also there. So we do see a little bit of a change there. VIX at 1550 staying slightly elevated, but not really. And DXY sitting at 98.83 as I do see Mr. Flanagan in the room. Let's bring him in. Let's see what I know that his glass is overfilling today, if I had to guess. Mr. Flanagan, how are we, sir?
Good morning, gents. I hope you had a good weekend. And wow, I sure wish this thing didn't happen with the Fed over the weekend, but it's done. It's another distraction from trading. And I think the markets probably exhibit a little paralysis right now. Of course, the dollar reacted initially and got sold off. The dollar was really beginning to get itself some legs, but moves like this are not going to be taken well in the global markets.
Right.
God damn it, Steve. I can't argue with you on this.
I'm not in favor of it, Steve. So, look, if there's a problem, there's a problem, take care of it. It's taxpayer money, but I mean, come on.
How does a guy who's now $200 million over budget on his ballroom is complaining about the Federal Reserve building, which is actually under budget and actually on time? So what's going on here? This tit for, and I've never in my entire life seen a Federal Reserve member like this fight back like this.
Yeah, I hate even paying it any attention, honestly, Steve. I just see it as a major distraction. Okay, so a few people received, was served to show up at a grand jury. Honestly, I look at it as just another distraction from the narrative, from the day to day, what's going on. I can't really see anything coming to fruition on this. And these type of headlines, I worry where they're coming from, who's releasing them. I know very well from my days that, there are people who have the ability to plant things out there. So I'm not touching it. It's a distraction to me totally. I'm not paying it any mind. I wish it didn't happen, but it did. I, got a little banged up in my dollar positioning. I had cut it down on Friday, as I always look at weekend risk as a serious thing today. I had on UVXY, which gave me some volatility over the weekend. So I had a nice protective play there. But, I am reevaluating, letting the dust settle. I am watching the dollar index here around 98.80. Good support, 98.30.50. It was getting a little bit oversold, overbought. And, some of the stochastics RSI models are beginning to tip now. So I would not be surprised to see us go into a sideways to lower trading pattern. I am looking to buy the dip yet again.
Okay. I mean, for me, looking at the dollar yen right now, I'm a happy camper, 158, right?
I'm coming on a little late because I was trying to get the real research data to give you on this dollar yen. Yeah. I don't, as I've been saying, 158, 160, if you want to be long dollar yen, yep, do it during the North American trading zone. But once you get out of New York, 5 p.m., you have to be aware of the Bank of Japan and their comments. More importantly, you need to watch a new administration there. They are pro-Japan. There's talks about, suspending and having snap elections.
Yeah.
That does not always work out well. Ask
right. That's a two-edged sword. I will say that.
You bet, yeah, especially when you're talking in Japan.
Yeah, and it really is because of the coalitions and things. For those that don't know, viewers, unlike our electoral, there's a lot of coalition that has to be done there. So it's not just one little, it's not one, seesaw. There's a bunch of different levers that work together.
Right, and the LDP party, the primary party in power in Japan, has been there since the end of World War II.
That's correct. Yeah.
So there is quite a big movement to begin to diversify power in the politics of Japan. So I'm not so big in that, but she's trying to consolidate and move decisively with pro-Japan policies. So that's one. Two, when the dollar yen got up to 160 into these high levels, if I go back into July 11th of 24 and 12th, when the Bank of Japan intervened at 161.76, just to give you an idea, they came in with a gigantic boxing glove. They sold $31 billion. Now,
okay.
9.4 trillion trades in a day. Is that a big amount? No. But in a specific currency, at a specific time where they come in and go bang, it's a watermelon down a garden hose. And dollar yen over the course of 2 weeks went from 161.76 to 141.68. And I think Howard has that on the chart there. That's a huge move if you want to stand in the way of it. Better yet, just part and move aside. I don't know what you're going to get out of a long dollar yen here, although there's a lot of good reasons for the yen to weaken because of this political potential instability that she's throwing in. I don't think Bank of Japan raises next week. I think they take a punt and pass for a meeting, which they've kind of already articulated in the market, but they will be raising rates. I don't like the dollar yen up here. I would prefer to play my long dollar against the euro, and I'm waiting on that one. I'm letting this news cycle get out. Probably by the end of the week, I am looking above 118 to short the euro against the dollar.
Okay.
I am. I'm looking at CoreWeave right now here real quickly. Now up 9% here. I'm shorting CoreWeave just for a quick play here. This is out of control now. So
showing a nice breakout there. On that chart, how it just had up.
Yeah, it's got room to 91.
Yeah.
After that, if it gets above 91, yeah, you'll be on the wrong side of it. But it does have, this is the spot. I'm
now short CoreWeave.
Remember, he's going for just a quick scalp.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. And another one of those stocks that goes with quantum convergence as all the technology.
Absolutely, data center, especially the energy of data centers. It's been very beaten up by the institutions, as you can see.
I was coming on, Howard, to ask you about MSTR here.
Oh yeah, you interested in a little MSTR after they decided not to kick them out of the indices?
Well, I just thought that overall, your crypto space is beginning to show some life. And
that's definitely an amplified play on it for sure, and it's trading below its NAV for the Bitcoin it owns. So that is usually, to me, a good time to look at it, as Mr. Buffett would say, right? If my company is undervalued versus my assets, that's when I buy back my stock. So that should give you an idea what I think.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I appreciate that. I think that we're moving into a kind of waffling period here. I think that around somewhere this week, we will probably see a lot of highs. And then I think as you move into next week, there's going to be a lot of concern. Do earnings support us up here? I mean, the banks are going to start kicking it off very shortly. I look at this move with credit cards as another big positive. I think any realistic person has been shaking their head going, let's see, a financial company can borrow money in Switzerland at 0, or they can borrow money in Europe at 2%, loan it out to me here on a credit card, and make 20%. I don't know. We used to call that a shyster back in the day.
I like that. Yeah, I mean, that's what we talked about. It's predatory. It's terrible. The problem is, as you worked for the biggest of them. They'll bring back down their amount of credit card lending they allow to happen to the people who need it the most when things like that happen, because they don't like the default rate of 10.
Well, you know what? Then don't loan money to people if they're a credit risk. I mean, It's simple as that.
Right.
But I've never liked that argument. I worked in bank. I don't like that argument because, look, if you're going to tell me, well, people default, we have to cover that, well, then you're stupid for loaning money.
Right. It's, yeah.
And I have
the egg or the chicken, which one, It's,
right. I have the same distaste for them when they say you open a checking and savings account. Okay, I want to save a little money. I'll put it in my savings account. Okay, we'll pay you 0.001. And I'm like, wait a second. If rates went up to 5.5%, how come I'm not at least getting 2% on my savings account?
Yeah, can we at least be equal partners in this game?
Yeah, I mean, you can loan my money out to these credit card companies and get 20%, but you can't sit there with a straight face and pay me under 1% on my savings. It just, it just doesn't make mathematical sense. It's all like a big scheme. It's like, it's not reality. Look, I'll put my money in a savings account. I don't want to go into stocks and bonds and everything else because maybe I'm a low risk person, but you've got to pay me a prevailing interest rate.
Something. At least leave me in the game.
Yep. So I look at these as
Absolutely.
positive comments. Yeah, it may reduce the amount of spending power that people have, but then who doesn't have or know of a family member who's like, I ran up that credit card a little high.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you look at them and go, okay, well, your monthly payment is almost entirely interest. You're never going to pay the principal back. So it's a bad
Definitely.
system. It needs to be fixed.
Absolutely. Well, let's get into other systems that need to be fixed. How about the peso US dollar here?
Yeah, that
Continuing to move to
dropped off pretty sharply on this Fed subpoena stuff. But I still look at Mexico. I am long dollar mex. I am adding down here, provided we stay above, say, 1887, 1787. I'm okay with hanging in there with this currency. I do think that my target on this is about 1820 to 1840. We're at 1792 here. I am long at a little bit higher up level. My first entry point was after Trump made the comment on Venezuela, and he said, we've stopped 97% from the sea, and now we're looking at land. I jumped into dollar mex at 1791. I like the trade. One bomb goes off on the other side of the border, as much as I would be totally against that, unless it was done with the support of Mexico. That's going to have dollar mex on a runaway train on the upside.
Okay, I love it. I love it. What other currencies are we looking at right now?
Dollar yen was one. The euro at 116.75. We've got good resistance up at 116.75. We got good resistance at 117 figure 20. Very possible we're going to see that. Numbers out of Europe have actually been starting to tip to the positive side. I'd like to see some continuation of that. But taking the ECB and President Lagarde there, they are forecasting 1.4 to 1.6 growth for the next 2 years. So to me, that just doesn't cut it. But the numbers are beginning to show. Unemployment numbers are still on the higher side. Sterling, UK, we have an unemployment number coming out this week. Watch that one carefully. I believe that's out on Thursday or Wednesday. You get another increase in their unemployment number, and you're going to see the pound roughly at this level, 134.70. These are lofty levels. The pound could start to drop.
Okay. BigBeat, any questions you have here for Mr. Flanagan?
No, I'm very much watching CoreWeave here on this top. I'm in the money, but could it drop? And I'm very, very, very concerned here because we could get a nice little move here to the downside. So my mind is focused very firmly on this drop here, which it could get real quick.
And as it should be, right, Steve? As a position keeper, as a trader, you've got to be focused on every single, because the price tells you everything.
Price tells you everything. I heard about that all week last week from the oh, heck yeah. And did I just get lifted here? I am going to take that profit here really quickly because I'm only 5 cents away from my limit order, and I took that money and ran.
Good job,
that is
buddy.
a nice. I've had a hell of a nice win today. So and Steve, one of the things that we need to make sure everybody understands here. Yes, I'm 3 for 3 today. And yes, I'm up. What is it? 160% on my trading portfolio since April of last year. Because of that very reason, Steve Flanagan was just telling you, I do it in front of everybody here to prove that we can do this, right? But Steve and I have, long-term been doing this, and I have a lot of comments and thoughts on Steve Flanagan's ideas, but my thought process turned immediately to trading, and I focused on that trading. A lot of times people miss that focus. Steve, they're not focused in a way, and there's 86.50, which where my original limit order was, is that when you look to trade and do a trade for full time, this is not, let's go watch CNBC and Bloomberg all day and hope I can get a trade. You have a conviction. There's 8641. You make a trade. You understand it, and you understand the mechanics of it, right? That's what we're trying to teach you, the mechanics of trading too. It's not just watching charts. It's also saying, okay, the core week position went against me a little bit. I doubled down, and then when I doubled down, I moved my limit orders. That's the mechanics at 8611. Shit. There's this mechanics that you also have to understand, and we don't want you to understand just charts, or just understand politics, or just understand sectors or rotation or what all the things we talk about. It's also keeping a perspective and staying on top of it is very tight. And someone like yourself, Steve, who's done this for many, many years, your eyes did not leave charts. Your eyes did not leave the news. Your eyes didn't leave what was going on. You made very poignant moves because you knew what was going on, and you were in the midst of that. And I think that's the key. What people have to understand: this is not some game that we play. This is real money moving around the world, and it's your money, hard-earned money. Then you want to make more money on that, and that's why we trade. So we want to make sure that you get a better feel and understand and the mechanics of how things work. And I've seen it from a perspective of so many social media out there. If you do this between 9 and 10, and you do this, and you'll make a billionaire. No, that's not how it works. Mm-hmm. I've been doing this every single day for 35 years. I mean, it's like what job I had, I still traded. My nose was in this. I never stopped trading ever. And that's what makes me so good at what I do and easily making money out of this now. So,
yep.
And see, how many years? I mean, this is not day in and day out. It's a real job. And I think a lot of people don't really realize that. Oh, I can make money by YOLOing my 0 DTEs and I'm gonna be a billionaire. It just does not work that way.
That's right. I would probably do anywhere of 5,000 or more trades in a day. And
you're not kidding.
Yeah, when you finish a trade, it's in the rearview mirror, forgotten. Win, lose, or draw, you never leave an emotion on it. Once you exit a trade, gone. Next one.
That's right.
Yep.
3 trades today I made. We all saw it. ZSL, Netflix, and all 3 of them. Not 3 different stocks. Not just the same one. I did it over and over and then bit by bit because I saw positions, and it was pretty much easy for me to see that, right? And we talked about that. So Corey, was getting way out of his skis, and I thought, okay, that's a little too much. Let's take some money. Let's make the easy money here, right?
It's not the type of thing you trade. You can trade anything,
right?
But having the discipline that you've just highlighted allows you to look at something and have the exact same results because of the discipline you bring to the table on it.
Yeah. And then it paid off again nicely today. And look, I think that when we look at the markets in general, and we talk about it in general in the mornings when Howard and I talk about it, and of course with you now, we try to get a better sense of the overall arching feel of the psychology of traders and investors around the world. And then you narrow it down to the stocks, and then you narrow down the trade, right? It's not just the other way around. Oh, I can't wait to buy Palantir today because XYZ person said buy this stock, or I saw it on Twitter. Well, okay, it gave you an idea, but you need to understand why you bought it. You need to understand why you sold it. And when I made that move, Howard mentioned that this is not long-term. This is just a trade. Right. And he told you that. So there's different ways of trading. There's different ways and people ask me all the time, well, what if everybody has all the data you're going to give them, Steve? That's great. That makes it level the playing field. But then everybody has the same data. Well, that's not true because everybody trades differently. We're all human. We all make different decisions, and how we trade and what we trade and the amounts we trade and the decisions that we make to get there to the trade are all different. And that's what makes the market. And I think a lot of people don't really understand that in a way. Yellen calls Powell probe chilling for the Fed independence. Yeah. Well, let's leave it at that, Steve. Let's ask that question before I let you go. Come on, man. You got to bang on the administration a little bit for this one. This is not a good position here to be in.
No, not at all. No. So, and I'm not happy with it at all. That's something it just doesn't need to be out in the head. There's so many things going on in this country right now. You want to get your grand juries and subpoenas I got plenty of places where taxpayer money's being wasted. So this doesn't
Oh no,
seem-
I think the administration has done a very good job of rooting out some of this fraud. I think they have done a very good job. You know, and Ilya and Omar are saying, "Oh, this is causing chaos and confusion." This is kind of good chaos and confusion. I want to see where this fraud is. Get rid of this fraud.
I mean, some of the things you're reading over the weekend is this is a well organized and orchestrated fraud. This is not your one or two people getting a little bit. This has been going on. If you begin to read, you know, some of the older politicians, they're like, yeah, this has been going on for 10, 20 years. This isn't like a new event. So,
all right.
Yeah. Well, okay. On that note, everybody, we are going to call it a day for Quasar Markets Live. Keep in mind, tweet analysis today. Keep your head on a swivel. Don't be afraid to take profits like BigBeat did there, and set some good stop limits like Mr. Flanagan talked about. Everybody from Quasar Markets, have a great day.